Hey guys, just still doing some testing. I think I about got the best quality I'm gonna get with this internet. Let's see, I'm gonna do some stuff. Oh yeah, in this video, guys, I'm gonna talk about some healing. Um, I've been doing a lot of it lately. Not that I mind. In most MMOs in the past, I used to do a whole lot of healing. That was primarily what I did. And I'll be honest, because I like to sit back and just chill and watch these bars while I'm smoking my cigarette. That was just me. Um, I have found in this game I can sort of do that, um, but the healing is a lot more interactive and a lot more difficult. Um, I'd say it's all based on who you're grouping with, the knowledge of them getting out of telegraphs, not taking damage. Um, and I'm not getting on my group. I do it too. I sometimes have my bad days where I'm not paying attention, or for whatever reason, decide it's a good idea to, go grab a cigarette when everybody's fighting. Yeah, yeah, it happens. But anyway, the purpose of this video, like I stated before, was to just kind of get a general, well, not general, more advanced overview of healing. Not that there's a lot of misinformation out there, because there's a ton of misinformation out there with the healing Esper. Um, it's one of those things where the healing Esper has probably about 4 to 5 different types of action sets that they can use. And when I'm talking about action sets, it's abilities I choose to put on my bar. Um, and there's so many variations that this might somewhat be a long video. Um, but I'm going to try to shorten it as best I can. I don't want to not cover things that I've already, thought of covering anyway. Um, so I guess the best way to start is to, kind of like I did in my other videos, is talk about stat priorities, or stat thresholds, if you will, that you'd like to reach to be successful in your healing, from my experience. So let me pop up this guy here. Alright, so while we're looking at the primary stats, these are all our primary stats. There's a lot of misinformation out there about stacking brutality, or not stacking brutality. Brutality, it's okay. The issue I have with it is we don't really need strike through. Whereas, if it was a secondary stat of crit severity rating, because that's the other thing brutality gives us, it would be one of those things where it would actually be more useful. Um, Another issue I have with stacking brutality is, as you can see, I have little milestones right here. When I reach a certain amount of brutality, I receive a certain amount of whatever that milestone gives me. So as you can see, strike through and crit severity rating alternate on the milestones. So I would highly discourage healers to stack a lot of brutality. Where I would like to see more healers do is get a bit more finesse, and this is just my own personal experience, guys. You don't have to agree with it. Finesse does critical hit rating, critical severity rating. Critical hit rating is a higher chance to crit. Critical severity rating is when I do crit, I get stronger crits. That's the way I like to think of it. So the milestones for here alternate just like similar to brutality, but as you can see, there's a few more crit hit ratings, milestones in finesse. Moxie, we don't care about. We're a healer. Okay. If we get it on the gear and it has insight, like I have a piece of gear on right now, as you can see, as Moxie and insight, but he also gives me crit severity rating and focus recovery rate. Okay, and I'm going to try to stay focused and stay on task, so I won't go into all those stats too much. But as you can see, it gives me a pretty good hefty amount of insight. It's a purple. I'll take it. But Moxie is certainly not anything that you want to focus on with a healing Esper. Okay. Tech, okay, it's poop. I'll be honest with you guys. It is absolute poop. When I do deflect, it's like, yeah, cool. But when I don't, it's like, why am I even trying to stack tech in the first place? Um, it's kind of like paying insurance. It's good to have it, um, but then you get into a bunch of wrecks or something, and your insurance rates go up. So it's like, I don't know about all that shit. So I don't personally stack it at all. That's just my opinion. Now, meat and potatoes. Insight is your absolute best way to increase your healing, guaranteed. Okay, the more insight you have, the stronger healers you have. It's obviously the stats for each point of insight go down as you go up in rank. As you can see, there's a rank here. When I fill this bar up, I go up to the next rank. Okay. So the amount of insight or support power I gain from having insight is lower. Okay. Um, so you know, that was FYI. I wanted to make sure that you guys understand that if you are healing, this is your primary stat, hands down. Um, there's no other argument you can make with me that says there's a better stat than insight. There's just none, from my experience. Now, grit is something that I think I should put a little bit more investment in. Um, Back in Warcraft days, okay? I'm going to go there, so just hang with me. But it has a point. Back in my World of Warcraft days, I healed as a priest, I healed as a druid, I healed as a paladin, okay? Now, I remember healing as a priest was much more complicated than healing with the paladin. It was pretty close to healing with the druid too, in complication. And I'm talking about vanilla WoW. Okay, guys. Um, and so, one of the issues I ran up against was having low health and getting one shot at or two shot at by boss mechanics. You know, one of the problems I had back then is the same problem I have now, and that is that I don't keep my health up high enough. And in this game, when I take in WildStar, when I take a telegraph to the face, for whatever reason, I almost die every time. Um, and so this is maybe something that I should try to invest a little more stats into, to give me more health because, as an old guildie told me back then, I'm going to tell you guys now. If you are a healer and you have low health and you die, you don't heal. Just I know that's stating the obvious, but it's just one of those things where if I'm the primary healer in a 5-man group and I die, more than likely the group is going to die. So you have a lot of pressure on you to make sure that you get out of telegraphs, that you're doing the right thing, with your healing, to keep everybody up as best you can. Okay. It's not on you when a dumbass DPS sits in the telegraph. It's not on you when a dumbass tank stays in the telegraph. Okay. And I'm not hating on them. I'm just stating the obvious. So don't beat yourself up about it. If one of those guys die, and you're doing all you can, so don't beat yourself up. So anyway, long tangent removed. Back on task. Let's talk about a little bit of the secondary stats that I've encountered. All right, so I did talk about support power. All right. Now I'm going to throw a couple numbers out there that I found to be most useful for veteran dungeons. As Esper, you want to have right around 2,000 plus support power. If you do not, it is going to be very difficult for you to keep up with the heals. Also, secondary note, you want to have your focus recovery rate right around 3.1 per second, if not higher. The more the merrier. or you will run out of focus a lot, and you will have to tell your party to, hey, hold up, I need to eat a lot. Um, I did early on. There's nothing wrong with that, but to make things and to move things along in these veteran dungeons, I would highly suggest reaching those thresholds before you go into veteran dungeons. Another couple stats I'll just talk about, but I won't really say, well, you need to hit this threshold, are these two: critical hit chance, critical hit severity. Yeah, I'm going back to them. Um, so we talked about crit hit chances basically gives you a higher chance to critically hit on a heal. Okay? And critical hit severity, when you do crit, are stronger crits. So where does this factor in? This factors in for the Esper as overhealing, unfortunately, sometimes. Um, but it also, in the case that you're behind on heals, means I can catch back up. Okay, and get people topped off, and continue, to progress into the dungeon or raid or whatever have you. Um, so these two are important to sort of balance. Realistically, it's going to be kind of difficult to balance those stats with, say, wanting to get more base health. Because, see, my base health is really low. And I'd like to have that up, maybe 3,000 more health. Because I look around and I see these people, even DPS have higher health than me at this point. And that's probably why I get wiped whenever a telegraph does hit me. But anyway, like I was saying, you kind of want to balance these two. In a perfect world, I'd like to see right around, 22% critical hit chance maybe, and more like 180 critical hit severity. But again, it's just one of those things where I'm not sure I can do it right now with the current gear that I have, and you know, um, not ruining blue stuff or whatever, like I did do a couple times. But anyway, that's the stats that I was wanting to get out there and kind of talk to you guys about, as a Esper healer to make yourself most useful. Now I'm going to touch on the abilities real quick. I've done this in the past, so this may seem very repetitive to a few people, but again, there's so much misinformation out there that I'd like to set the record straight, as best I can. So anyway, this is my current setup. I have Mind Over Body, Soothe, Reverie, Mending Banner, Bolster, Phantasmal Armor, Crush, and Projected Spirit. Now, in most runs, dungeon runs and adventures, I do run something similar to this build. I might switch out a couple things. On Tempest Vet, I usually like to run a Restraint and a stronger Crush that destroys 2 interrupt armor. Another variation that I tend to do sometimes is I take out Bolster and I go with Pyrokinetic Flame, maybe Warden, if they ever fix it. But yeah, that's another variation that I do. I won't talk about ability tiers too much right now. I just want to talk about the abilities. I will go there though soon. But those are the basic setups that I kind of do. Pyrokinetic Flame has a nice tier 4 that increases assault power and support power of everyone who stands near it or in it. So yeah, it's not bad. It's 4-second buff, but I've tested that's pretty cool. I've also tested the Warden tier 4, where it increases physical and magic resistance by 12% for 6 seconds. It certainly has its uses, and again, it's one of those things where I've kind of tested this here or there, and because of the bugginess of Warden, it won't land on certain targets right. I kind of discourage healers from using them until they fix it. Okay, certainly not a bad ability though. I like it. So mental boon is also not too bad. It's more of a PvP ability than anything else. Uh, it kind of is one of those things where again, I want to. Sorry, I'm lagging on the stream a little bit. There we go. It's going back. Um, so mental boon is it's okay. It's all right. It does like a hot and increases dash region, which means basically that you don't move necessarily faster, but you have the ability to get your dash tokens back quicker. So it's more or less a PvP issue. I've used it maybe once in PvE, just to test to see if it would actually help me out a lot, and I switched it immediately after. But anyway, that's abilities. Let's talk about tiers. All right, tier 4, mind over body. It's a good tier 4, a great tier 4. Um, when the target that you're healing is above 65% health. When it goes under, you get nothing from the tier 4. Okay, so basically what happens is, I'll show you real quick, is cast the heal. Couldn't see it. Let me close this off. So this is what happens. I cast the mind over body, and I get 2 heals because I'm above 65% health. When I'm below 65% health, though, all I get is, well, in that case, 3,660 health. So it does kind of poopy when a target's under 65% health. Bolster, okay? Now, in the past, I've used this in DBS builds and healing builds a lot. But, I still only feel its primary usage is to generate psi points. Okay? The healing it does is kind of, it's okay. It's alright. It's not bad. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There's 2 hots I just put on myself. Okay, so it doesn't do a tremendous amount of healing. I'd say it did about right around 2,000 healing. It's not bad. Obviously, it gets better as you scale up your support power. But again, its primary usage is for building those psi points. Okay. Now Reverie, I can't really test this without having a partner with me. But it's an AOE heal. Okay, and it hits a pretty large area. I could show you that at least. Let me zoom out. So it hits a pretty large area. Okay. One thing to note is that it does hit people out of line of sight, as long as they're in that telegraph. Just a little neat little thing I learned about it. Its throughput is significantly higher than the throughput that Mending Banner gives us. Okay. Which is the next ability that I'm going to talk about. The reasons I take Mending Banner, and there's been a couple times I've taken it off my bar, is because of its tier 4. Okay, let's take a look at what the tier 4 does. Oh, let me back up a second. I took the tier 4 Reverie to restore an additional percentage of health based off the psi points I have when a person is below 35% health. So this is the heal that I am using when I'm like people are about to die. I use it before then, of course, obviously. But when they get low health, it heals for more. So if I'm behind as an Esper, and this goes especially for the healing Espers, because you're like, holy shit, how am I going to get all these people back up? Well, what I usually like to do is I pop my innate. As long as I don't have, anything hit me, I pop my innate to get the psi point generation quicker. And, maybe throw a bolster to get it up quickly. Get off as quickly as I can a 4 or 5 psi point Reverie on the group, and then it'll generate some more psi points for you. Your innate does, and as quickly as possible, try to get another Reverie off. Right, because in veteran dungeons, especially in veteran dungeons, there's a ton of damage that comes out sometimes on bosses, and again, it can be avoided with having everybody in good communication and coordination in the group. But look, it doesn't always happen that way. Okay. So just a little FYI out there, for new espers or in-game espers, that's probably your strongest heal. Okay. There are other heals that heal for more, but for example, Mirage, it heals the most out of any of your heals. However, it's very situational, and I won't go there yet. So anyway, Mending Banner, tier 4. It's a single target heal, and it's based off of how many side points that you have determines how much you heal. Same thing with Reverie. Um, but it's a single target rather than a AoE targeted heal. So basically what happens is that um, whenever you use Mending Banner on a target, tier 4, it increases their armor by 2.5% at one side point, 5.5% at two side points, 8% at three side points, 10.5% at four, and 13% at five. Um, this just increases. This is really, really useful to be using on a tank, um, more than it is on anything else. So that's why I've kind of, right now don't have it tiered up to tier 4. In the special situations where a tank is going to take a ton of damage, for example, Veteran Skull Cannon, there is a ton of damage that hits the tank. I mean, if you blink, he's dead. That's how bad it is sometimes. But it could be the gear of the tank. I don't really know what's going on. I just see on my grid that the tank is about to die, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? But that's where Mending Banner comes in. Okay. Um, and by using the tier 4 Mending Banner, it does mitigate a little bit of the damage that the tank takes, but not all. Um, it just helps you out a little bit with your healing. Um, what else? What else have I missed? Oh, um, Phantasmal Armor. Let's talk about that. This is by far the best, one of the coolest abilities I've had. If you know when a boss's telegraph is about to hit the tank, and you pop this on them, it absorbs all that damage. And it hits your absorb before it hits their shield, which is also important to note. Because the shield mitigates the damage to a certain extent for everyone. It's like 25%, I believe, that the shield mitigates. Like, say, boss hits for 100. We'll use simple numbers. And you have a shield. Well, the shield would eat 25 damage, whereas your health would eat 75%, 75 damage. Okay, so being able to throw this on a tank and have them, be able to absorb some of the damage that they take is very important. It's very, very important. I want to thank everybody who just tuned in. Holy crap, I've never had this many people before. We're just kind of going over some very good healing information that, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I just wanted to set the record straight. So, again, I'm glad to see all these people here. Um, and I'm just talking about each one of the abilities that I use in veteran dungeons, and especially at level 50. So, you know, um, moving on. So, like I stated, the reason I take Phantasmal Armor is to reduce the damage a tank takes or a target takes. It's an oh shit ability that allows me to catch up the healing on them. There's several uses for it. Okay. Soothe. Soothe is a line telegraph, and this is probably the main spell that a lot of people tell me, why the hell are you still running this? Or, it's not that good anymore. Let me tell you, I have healed on the run certain boss fights predominantly using Soothe. Okay? And it's because, and I know why. I know why people don't like it. When you take a look at it, it's just a line telegraph. So if you're good at lining up telegraphs, or asking your people in your group to stack in front of you or stack in a line, then you'll be able to land this pretty much the whole time on everyone. Okay, because it restores health to yourself. Good. And it also hits for most injured allies. But what it does is, and I'll show you exactly, is by taking the tier 4, it charges faster. Okay, you can hold it like I just did right there, so you can pre-prep that heal. All right, and whenever you get it off to charge 3, you can go ahead and release it. But you can charge it if no one's taking damage. Move to your position, let it loose, let it loose. And the pluses and the minuses of this ability is obviously you have to be able to position yourself to be able to hit people. Okay, and if you're not good at doing that, then maybe it's not the heal for you. But I will state this: if you look at the amount of focus that you use up by using Soothe as compared to using Mind over Body, you'll see that it's a lot less, and for some reason the tooltip's not popping up. It takes 27 focus for a Mind over Body, and it heals one target. Soothe at the max charge takes 25 focus, heals for right around the same amount, if not more, and it can heal up to 5 targets, including yourself. Okay, so I understand why people are having trouble with this ability. It's all about positioning and concentrating, and making sure that your group is coordinated enough to not move around and jump around that much when you're trying to shoot off this ability. Because obviously, if you're trying to only hit one target with this ability, and that target dodges, then you just wasted focus. But anyway, that's my rant on that. What it does, the tier 4 reduces charge time, like I stated before, by half a second. The tier 8 restores additional health every 1 second. So it puts a little mini hot on the end of the usage of the ability. So not only does it seem to heal more at charge 3, but it also ticks, and it's a static amount. I'd like to probably see that changed a little bit. But charge 1, it gives a hot of 113. So 113 times 4, that's what it heals for. It's a plus. Certainly not going to make or break you, but I've had situations, especially veteran Skullcano. There's this event with a lop where you're running through the cave. This is what I use to save my party's life. I kind of ask them to kind of stack a little bit, and I pre-charge this ability until that fire damage just starts hitting them like crazy. And I make sure my psi points are full. So I get off a full stacked or charged Soothe, and then I pop a Reverie, and it heals them for pretty much anything. And then at that point I'm just spamming Soothe to try to hit everybody, because it's much more easier to do that than sitting there and trying to cast Mind over Body. So in extreme burst situations, I would prefer people use Soothe rather than Mind over Body. Okay, Mind over Body is mainly used on single target. Okay, if you got a lot of burst AoE going down, it ain't gonna do shit for you. Soothe, it'll hit multiple targets, heal multiple targets, still give you your psi points, and allow you to get off reveries. Okay. So I think that basically covers the healing abilities I wanted to talk about primarily, and the ability tiers and the stat priorities. I guess the only ability I've avoided to talk about, and I feel bad about it now, is because Mirage. Okay, now Mirage, I in previous single target healing videos, I think I made a raid video that stated that Mirage was better, the best heal that we have, which is true, and that I don't see it not being put into, can't find a reason not to put it into a, you know, uh, tank rating build healing. Okay. Well, I'm going to belay that statement and bow down and say, no, I was wrong. Mirage is very situational. Yes, it heals for a lot. But it's one of those things where you click the ability, you have a little icon that's above your mouse, and you drop the ability, okay, on the ground. And if an injured ally runs over to it, if that's the key statement, and hits it, it heals them, and it heals them pretty damn good. It's the best heal, like I said. I mean, it's almost 10,000 health by running over it, and it generates a side point for you when people do run it over. The tiers are decent on it. So on paper, that's how I was looking at it. I was looking at it totally on paper and not in actual usage. Like I've been, it's just one of those things where Mirage is just not that useful. Um, Even in a environment where everyone is communicating with each other. Um, so I don't use it. Okay. Um, Let me switch a couple things around to show you exactly what I will run sometimes. All right, Crush. Let's talk about Crush real quick. There is a couple bugs still with Crush where if you go and read up on the forums, you'll find out about them. A couple notable ones in my mind are the first boss, Blade Wind, I think, in Storm Talon. For whatever reason, even if you land this ability on him, on his cross or plus or X, whatever you want to call it, telegraph, it will not take away interrupt armor. It's a known bug, and they're working on it. That's all I can tell you. But and it still has problems with terrain. Like if you're running up a hill and you're trying to stun someone, a lot of times you won't. And same thing with going down terrain. There's an issue with that too. Keep that in mind. Um, Also, one other thing to note is in the past I've run taking projected spirit off and incapacitate for my second interrupt just to add more moves and more damage for the group. Keep this in mind that this interrupts. It's implied that it's an interrupt if you read the tooltip. However, it does not take away interrupt armor. Okay, so where does that fall into? You know, where is that? Why is that important to note? Okay, because if let's say the target has 3 interrupt armor, or yeah, 3 interrupt armor, and you use your crush, and then you use your incapacitate, he's still sitting there laughing at you with 1 interrupt armor. Okay, because incapacitate does not take off interrupt armor. It just interrupts spellcasting and ability usage. Okay, so however, if you're in a situation where, let's say, he only has 2 interrupt armor, the enemy you're going up against, and you throw your tier 4 crush on him and it hits him, and then you immediately hit incapacitate, it will give your group a move, and that's provided they're doing a telegraph. I know that was um, pretty obvious, but that's where I was getting at with talking about crush and incapacitate. Another interrupt that I use, but I don't a whole lot because I don't like to be in melee range with this low health and tissue paper for armor, is shockwave. But like I say, it does destroy 1 interrupt armor, so I have the ability to destroy up to 3 interrupt armors if need be. I would throw that on my bar. Okay. Projected Spirit, I still love the ability. It's freaking awesome looking. But its primary usage is to get my ass out of trouble for not paying attention, or to position myself properly to be able to land heals on an ally. So those are the main purposes for Projected Spirit. It does heal you when you use it, and it has a possibility to heal allies. However, that's it's very difficult to land that. Um, okay, Carthesist. I've ran this in a few dungeons, specifically in the last boss of Skullcano, veteran. Red Moon blinds everybody, so this is very useful in there. Obviously, with all the mechanics going on, it kind of hurts a lot of people. The next thing is Fade Out. This is the last ability I'll talk about, and then I'll move on to amps. Um, Fade Out's RCC break, so obviously, if you're dealing with a boss mechanic that tethers you, or knocks you, or stuns you, it would be advisable to take Fade Out, okay, to break you out of that and get you back into healing. All right, amps. Nothing much to change here to talk about. I just simply state that before I didn't take any points in focus recovery, and I put them elsewhere. This is not my final build by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something that I'm using right now. In the support tree, I take all of my focus recovery. I take all my support power. I take all the focus recovery costs. I try to reduce that as much as possible. Hard to hit. This just helps your tank even better. So even though the chance to proc is very low, when it does proc, it does help the tank out with the damage that he takes. When you critically heal an ally, they gain a 1074 absorption shield. So again, this is one of those reasons why you want to have a decent amount of crit hit on your character, because it gives a little bit of a mini absorption shield. It's not much, but it's something. Landing basic heal grants healed allies a defense. This increases magic resistance by 8.5% for 5 seconds. It's not all that great, in my opinion. However, as I've stated in previous videos, if you don't put your points here, then where else do you put them? Yeah, you could put maybe some shield capacity increase, but there's really a limited amount of directions a healing Esper has for amps. So build up, healing an ally with a builder grants 1 stack of build up. When healing an ally with 3 stacks, you restore an additional 773 health, and the stacks are removed. So I'll actually show you this real quick. If you'll just see, just keep an eye out. I can't see it with these, but that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. There it was. That 821 that you just saw. That was the build-up. It doesn't seem like much, but if you're using not necessarily mind over body a lot, but any skill for that matter, you'll be able to see that 4th heal like that. That's pretty nice. Doesn't heal for much, like I stated, but it's something. Another thing to note is that if you look down here on my character, you'll see an orange shield pop up. That was that other amp I was just talking about. I'll just keep doing it until it pops up. There it is. You see the absorb, 1k to absorb. So it does work, and that was Spectral Shield. And this is build up. So healing the ally with a builder. What's our builders? I stated that in my abilities already, but our builders are Mind Over Body, Bolster, Soothe, in this case. Other builders that I don't currently have on my bar, Warden, Pyrokinetic Flame, uh, Mirage has um, a builder as well. So it's supposed to build up on every one of your heals that are a builder. Okay, that's the purpose of it. So okay, I think I focused on that build enough. I'm moving on. Companion. Companion was the little carrot of death, I call it, that pops up every now and then. When you're healing, you have a 20% chance to summon a companion. It restores 451 health per second and lasts for 10 seconds. So it's an overall increase of 4,510 health by having this amp. So to me, that sounds like it's pretty damn useful. Um, I've yet to see it pop up multiple times. I've only seen it pop up once on one character, and it is somewhat buggy. Sometimes it won't um, stay with the character; it'll sit by you, and you're like, "Dude, I don't need healing. Go heal him." But yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. They're kind of working on it right now. Still trying to get it working properly. Um, I talked about Mirage. I'm not going to go there anymore because I'm crying on the inside. Um, Healing Touch. Whenever you use a sport finisher on an ally below 30% health, you heal an additional 2,363 health. This can only occur every 8 seconds. So when you're dealing in those situations where everybody's taking a shit ton of damage across the board, you're trying to get your reverie off as quickly as you can. Not only do you increase the amount of healing that you do because they're below 30% health, but it also synergizes well with this tier 4. Okay, when they're below a certain amount of health, it increases the healing that they receive by an additional amount of percent. Okay, so that synergizes really well with AoE healing, whereas this one synergizes pretty well with single target healing. Okay. Um, Not much to talk about here. Just increase my critical hit chance statically. I'll take it, and my critical hit severity statically as well. So that's 12% crit hit severity. I increased myself, and 6% crit hit severity. Now, I took CC Resilience. Now, these are the 2 points that I'm playing around with and moving all over the place, trying to figure out which one's the most useful. I found CC Resilience to be the most useful simply because when I don't have a CC breaker fade out on my bar, the amount of time it takes for me to find the stupid button to hold down and break out um, is a lot less that I have to hold it. Now, there is an add-on named Tap That, I think, that's out there that helps with that tremendously, actually. Um, so if you're having problems with that, still, I would go ahead and download that add-on, as it'll help. Um, but that's about it. I mean, the cooldowns I found not to be as useful as they used to be. If I had a choice and I had as many points as I could spend, that would probably be the next place, next to maximum shield capacity. Okay. Um, well, that's about it, folks. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening to me rant and rave forever and ever and ever. Um, this is my crappy house, so I'm not going to show it to you too much. But I did want to salute you guys and thank you for tuning in. If you are interested in playing WildStar and you're not in a guild currently, check out guildumbra.com and you know put on a go to the site. There's a link on the top right that allows you to apply to the guild, and we'll be able to see that you're interested, and get you to our recruiters as soon as possible. Uh, we are still recruiting. We're playing on Widow PvP server right now, so Again, if you're interested in doing that, please check us out. It's a multiplayer game, and we'd love to have you. Also, if you're a YouTube user, seeing this video, hit that like button, or or the dislike button. But give feedback. Let me know how I can improve on these videos, other than certain qualities that I've already mentioned. And there's my buddy Code. He's in the background, waving. There he goes. He doesn't stay still very long. But anyway, he threw me off track. That was good. Um, but also, if you're a Twitch user, follow me on Twitch. The username's BigDogLB. And again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I salute you. Show you my muscles. And I bow. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.